Hi everyone. This is the 10th of my mini lectures that are recorded. After this one you just have one more recorded lesson that's about 4 slides, so you're on the home stretch. So this is the last of the special senses. This is the sense of equilibrium, and I'll go into the structures that are involved in this and what it does. So the sense of equilibrium helps us maintain body posture and balance. And there's 3 body parts that work together to help us with this equilibrium. The first is the eyes. We also have our proprioceptors, and then we have our vestibular apparatus, which is found in the ear. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more. But when we talk about sense of equilibrium, there's 2 different senses of equilibrium that we have. We have one that is called static equilibrium, and this is receptor organs that are located in the vestibule, and they are responsible for responding to linear acceleration forces, so going perhaps forward or back. Dynamic equilibrium, the receptor organs are located in the semicircular canals in our ear, and these respond to rotational acceleration forces. So if you spin around, that's a little bit different than that static equilibrium, and we'll cover both of these. So with static equilibrium, the organs of the static equilibrium are located within the vestibule, and they include the utricle and the saccule. And each of these has this very small patch called a macula. So when we look at this, the macula consists of, if you can picture here, the macula is here, and the macula consists of hair cells, which we can see, and there are some that are called stereocilia, which you should remember from the hearing, and also the kinocilium. There are also supporting cells that you will find in this, and there are otolithic membrane. There's an otolithic membrane. You can see that here, and then otoliths. They're shown right here. So how do these work? To activate our maculi receptors, we will feel changes in acceleration, linear acceleration, when the head starts or stops moving in a linear direction. So think of nodding your head yes and no. Inertia causes the otolithic membrane to slide backward and forward, or forward, depending on which direction you're moving. You can look at the slide here to see that. The stereocilia then are bent in the direction the otolithic membrane slides. So as it slides, the hair gets bent in that direction. And when that bending happens of the stereocilia towards the kinocilium, this causes these hair cells to depolarize and release more neurotransmitter than they normally are. So we're constantly releasing some, but this would make them release more. Now, if we bend the stereocilia away from the kinocilium, this causes the hair cells to hyperpolarize, which means that they're going to release less neurotransmitter. And the brain is informed of that change in position of the head. So this is where it gets those signals from. When we're looking at dynamic equilibrium, this is a little more complicated because we're talking about the head turning in a rotational fashion. The main organs of the dynamic equilibrium are the semicircular canals. And we have the anterior canal, the posterior canal, and the lateral canal. And the way that these play a role when we're looking at it is that they have an ampulla and then a crista ampullaris. So if you look here, we're showing this blown up, you can see that we have the whole ampullaris here. Okay, we have a cupula here, and then the hair cells, right, that are down here with the hairs. They are the stereocilia. Okay, and you can see the sensory nerve fibers running back out of that. So what we end up having is when we feel changes in the velocity of rotational movement, so the head moves in a rotational plane, there's fluid in these semicircular canals. And at the very start, it will oppose that movement and moves briefly in the direction opposite of the body's movement. You can kind of picture that almost in water as you push against it, what happens. But what then will happen is the crista ampullaris is deformed by the movement of that fluid, and it causes bending of our stereocilia here. Okay? And the bending of that stereocilia will cause one of two things, either depolarization or hyperpolarization of the hair cells. And this just depends on which direction the stereocilia are bent. And then the brain is informed of the changing position of the head, and it then will send back out whatever motor signal needs to go to make sure that we maintain our balance and our equilibrium. So this was a really brief kind of overview of the structure and function of the equilibrium special sense. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. Thanks.